So it has been 1 year since I originally got to test out the Speediance Gym Monster. Now I've gone between my other gym setups as well, but I want to give a review of what I think of this product 1 year later, what has been good and bad, updates to it, and all that stuff, so you can decide if it's a good decision for you in your home gym. And as a quick disclaimer, I did receive the Speediance Gym Monster for free directly from Speediance. They did reach out to me and asked me to make a review. In that, I'm able to give my 100% honest opinion on the product itself, as I did check with them beforehand. But if you do feel like this product is good for you after seeing this review, feel free to use code GamerBody at checkout for a discount of $120. So to start out, what exactly is the Speediance Gym Monster? At its core, it is a home gym device that uses electromagnetic resistance in order to apply resistance against your muscles depending on the exercise you are performing. It can also be considered a smart home gym in that you can set up some programs and have the actual device kind of build out some of these sets, reps, and other things for you. Now, it also includes a Speediance app that you can hook up and build out programs, look up other things in the app itself that all sync onto the actual device, as there is an actual onboard computer on the Speediance you can use through the LCD screen. But do know it does have its own app to build out everything if you'd like, and then zip it on over to the Speediance so that you can perform your workouts. And all of this is in a very small form factor that fits within my current closet, and you can wheel around if you need to. It is pretty heavy to actually pick up, which I'll get to in a bit, but do know you can wheel it around and get it into the spot you want. And again, it takes up very little space, especially when you fold it up for storage. Now, I received my review version of the Speediance Gym Monster all the way back in April of 2023, so again, a year ago. But in that time, they've come out with many more package options on the website that you can choose from. But the versions you get now are the Works, Works Plus, Works Plus Max, also the Family, Family Plus, and Family Plus Max options. Now, again, this could change in time, but that's what's available as of shooting this video on the Speediance website. Now, if I were personally going to buy one today based on everything I've tried out, I would just go with the standard Works. It's the one that has the smaller LCD screen. It also only has the flat bench versus the incline bench that they have now, and some other features. It's really just the bare bones version, but for what I need in my home gym, that's all I'm really working with. Yes, I do have other pieces of equipment that they send me to try out and review, but mostly I don't use that stuff. I kind of just use the base stuff that comes with the Works. Not only that, it's quite a bit cheaper than the other options, so that's why I recommend that one more over the other ones. But the one accessory I'd probably add on to this that you have to buy separately is the barbell hooks. Now, sometimes you do get it in one of their events that they're having on the website, but if you have to buy it separately, it is pretty costly at just about $50, again, as of shooting this video. But that's pretty pricey for just some barbell hooks on this. But honestly, it was a game changer thing when I started using it, as you're able to kind of rack it on the barbell hooks and then set up your next exercise. So I highly recommend it. It's just a bit pricey for what I think they're offering, and I think it should just be in their standard packages to begin with. All right, now we're going to jump into some specs for the Speediance Gym Monster. So the starting specs I'm going over are for when you fold up the Speediance itself. So it has a length of 1 foot 2 inches, a width of 2 feet 4 inches, and a height of 6 feet. Now, if you decide to unfold the platform so that's laying flat on the ground, it is 4 feet 1 inches in length instead. Now, for the weight of this product, it comes in at just about 187 pounds or about 85 kilograms. All of the weight is basically on the base of it when you set up in its normal position. It's almost all in just the base of it, which is good so that it has a harder time of falling over. But do know, actually picking it up, so if it's in the box when you're moving it to set it up, it's actually pretty heavy to move around. But once you do get it set up, it does have wheels that make it pretty easy to actually get around into position. It's really just getting it out of that initial box and in place that was kind of hard for me. But once I kind of got it all set up and ready to go, I was able to just wheel it around to my room or closet, wherever I was just doing my workouts. So next up, I'm going to talk about my screen, as I do have the original size one. I have not tried the larger one, but this is what I got. So the LCD screen on the device that I have is 1080p and is a 21.5 inch screen. This is touchscreen and is actually locked into a vertical position. You can't turn it sideways or horizontal, so it is in that vertical position or portrait position, but you can tilt it forward and backwards. So say you're doing something like a bench press, you could tilt it so that it is parallel with you when you're doing the bench press. And then when you're standing, you can flip it back up so that's vertical and do it that way. All right, now I'm going to jump into all the accessories I have with my Speediance Gym Monster. Yes, I do have more than what's in the Works package, but that's because they were able to send me some additional pieces that I really liked and got to test out for free to kind of review on this channel. That way, if someone else has this product, they could take a look and see if they wanted to add it on. But here is the entire list of what I have. So the first one, of course, is the Speediance Gym Monster itself. This is, again, the original one with the 21.5 LCD screen. There is another option now that has a larger one. So I also have an adjustable barbell. Basically, there's many holes on the bar that you can clip in the locking mechanism in order to change how far in and out you like that anchor point to be on the bar. The original one I actually got was not one of these, but this bar is much, much better and allows for way more options for setting up your exercises. I also have 2 handles that connect to the cables on the Speediance Gym Monster. And with that, I also have a flat bench that I tend to use mostly with my setup, but do know I also have an adjustable bench as well. I actually got 2 of these, as my first one I got was kind of like an early on version that ended up actually falling when I was using it in testing, so that was really scary. But they sent me a newer one that actually was able to hold more of my weight, as the first one might have just had some kind of defect with it, but still scary nonetheless. Moving on, I also have 2 ski handles that connect onto the Speediance Gym Monster for the ski-based exercises. I have 2 additional extender belts that I got recently for testing and reviewing. These attach to the cables themselves, then onto your handles or onto the bar to really just provide additional, I'd say, safety, so that you can kind of get into a better position. Say like a bench press, it's not going all the way down and crushing it to the floor or the base plate. You can actually kind of have it set up where you can get it on the chest without it crashing all the way to the ground, making it a little easier for some exercise setups. With that, I have a tricep rope that you can hook up to the cables to do things like tricep pushdowns. I also have a barbell pad, which comes in clutch when doing things like back squats. Especially if you're not used to doing back squats, it's really nice to have that on your shoulders in order to perform the exercise without any discomfort. Additionally, I have 2 barbell hooks that you can rack the bar when you're not using it or in between sets. It's been a very big game changer when trying to set up different exercises, so you can kind of put it and rack it on those barbell hooks, set up for the next exercise, and then go into whatever exercise that may be. I also have 2 ankle straps, but don't really use them very much, as they're kind of just, I don't know, they're just not exercise really do, but I did get them in case I just want to do something with those ankle straps. I also have their Smart Ring, which was the newer adaptation that's different than the original, as you can press it to activate and deactivate the resistance, or even turn it left and right in order to add or remove resistance, which has been really awesome in terms of being able to make sure I'm safe during my workouts, as well as getting into setups much easier. Next up, I have a rowing machine. Now, I have tested with this, but I'm just really not into the rowing, especially on the Speediance. It does feel a little different than actually rowing, but it has the general movement pattern down pretty well. It's just not something I really care for, and the rowing machine takes up a lot of extra space, so again, just not something I'm really interested in. But if you want to do rowing, they do have it on this device. And the last thing I have is a mat that goes right on the platform itself. It's not really a yoga mat, I would say, but it's just more of a platform mat when you're doing some of your exercises. So that's all the items I have from Speediance. Now, you'll actually notice in this video that I do have a power rack around the Speediance Gym Monster. Now, I got this idea after going on the Facebook Speediance page, and someone had bought this in order to do things like pull-ups in between their sets. So I do warm up with pull-ups a lot, especially on my day 3 as my program is set up right now. So I actually went and did the same thing, and with that, it also has barbell hooks as well. So I really don't even need the initial barbell hooks, as these ones work just perfectly fine around the Speediance. So the Speediance kind of tucks into it, then I can do pull-ups and also rack the bar when I'm doing my workouts, so that you don't have to buy that additional accessory. And with that, I'm gonna go over how to set up the Speediance Gym Monster by turning it on, activating the power, and just some general guidelines in it as well. So first off, this will need to be plugged into a wall outlet, so make sure one is nearby, so plug it in to get some power to the device. From there is a switch on the back of the Speediance Gym Monster. You will have to flip to the on position. That way, again, power is activated right to the Speediance. From there, mine actually turns on automatically, so make sure yours is now looking to be turned on. Also, do know that when you flip that power button on, the cables will tighten, indicating that the machine is getting ready to provide resistance through those cables. From there, we need to lower the platform, so there is a button on the right-hand side, or the right lower-hand side of the device that you can just push in, and then it allows you to lower the platform. Make sure you have your hand on the platform itself when you click this button, that way it doesn't crash to the floor, but you can use your hand and arms to slowly lower it to the ground position. After that, make sure you lock the platform down into its flat position. So there are 2 of them on either side of the device. You can just take them and make sure that you press them down and lock those into position so that the platform isn't going anywhere. So the next setting will depend on what exercise you are performing. If it is an exercise that requires the resistance to come from the floor, you're going to want to set up the cables to come from there. Just make sure you take each one of the cables, lock it into the base platform. There's only one setting on either side, and you are good to go. But if it is the vertical position, there are about 9 different selections you can pick from. So make sure you move the anchor point up or down on the vertical bars, and then attach the cable into the vertical bars so that it is set up and ready to go. And then of course you need to pick the equipment that goes into it, whether that be handles, barbells, tricep ropes, whatever it might be. You need to make sure that's clipped in and ready to go on the cables before you activate the resistance. The last bit will be that you need to make sure that the ring is activated as well, so that we can turn on and off the resistance when you are set up and ready to go. So this is set up via Bluetooth, so you will need to make sure in your settings that you've linked the ring into the Speediance Gym Monster itself. Once it's set up with Bluetooth, you will see an icon show up each time that you activate it by just pressing it. And then depending on the settings you have, you will need to press the front face of the ring in order to activate and then deactivate the resistance. And again, you can also twist the little knob clockwise and counterclockwise in order to add or remove resistance, but only when no resistance is being applied to the cables themselves. All right, so we have the device all set and ready to go. Here's a breakdown of what this device can actually provide you in terms of resistance and some other specs when using it. So the Speediance Gym Monster can provide up to 220 pounds of resistance, or 110 pounds in each individual cable. To me, this resistance feels a lot harder than free weights because I can't use momentum in any of the movements. With the cables always pulling you down, you basically are always trying to go against that resistance as hard as you can. I can't really, with free weights, I can kind of throw it up into position, where this, you're always being pulled back, so you really can't do something like that. There's also 4 different modes that you can choose from when the resistance is being applied by the machine. I'm going to go over each one as written in the FAQ page from Speediance. So the first one is the standard mode, and this is just the digital weight that the machine provides based on whatever value you have provided. The next option is change, and on the FAQ page, it just says you can simulate the feeling of using real change and getting the benefits at a touch of a single button. So normally with change, what happens is, say we're doing like a bench press, as we push away from the floor, more chain links are actually kind of being added on for you to push against. So like the higher you go, the more chains are off the ground, providing more resistance against you. So it gets harder as you reach that end range of motion. So think of that this way when you are adding chains as the option for your setting. The next option is the eccentric mode. And all this is doing is that when you're going through the muscle lengthening portion of a lift, so something like a bicep curl, when you're lowering the weight to the ground, that is when the most resistance is being applied in this version. So when you're going through the concentric or the shortening, basically when you're lifting the resistance up towards your face in a bicep curl, that is actually easier. Once you get to that point and lowering it, that's where it gets harder in that lift. The last option is called constant. And for this one, it says maintain a balance of tension and contraction forces used in strength tests and rehabilitation training. So you basically just have a constant tension, similar to what I feel like standard is, but just a constant tension through both the concentric and eccentric portions of each one of the lifts. All right, we're moving on to something I think is very valuable in the Speediance Gym Monster, and that is the assist modes. Now, this used to be called spotters, but for some reason they changed it in the last few months to be called assist. Now, nothing has changed with how it works, but here is what the assist is. So there's 3 assist modes: a no assist, assist 1, and assist 2. So with the no assist mode, when you're using the machine, it will never reduce the resistance for you. Say we're using like the standard mode, it will never try to help you if you get stuck in any part of the range of motion. However, assist 1 and 2 will help you. So with assist number 1, the resistance is reduced if the speed of the cable draw is too low. Stopping at the bottom or top of the rep does not reduce the resistance. This means just in the middle portion of the rep, if you get to a point where you slow down too much for too long, the machine will reduce the resistance so that you can complete that rep and continue reps beyond if you want to. Now for assist number 2, it says resistance is reduced if the user is stuck at any point of the exercise movement. So it kicks in about a second or so after you get stuck. I use this one personally pretty much whenever I use the Speediance, just in case something bad happens. So say I get stuck on any part of the resistance, not just the end range of motion, but the entire range of motion, it will reduce the resistance for me so I don't get stuck and potentially hurt myself depending on what the exercise is. Now again, I highly recommend that you turn the assists on. Personally, I like assist 2, but make sure you at least have Assist 1 on, or the ring. I've tried just using the ring before, but sometimes I can misclick it, or maybe it goes too far down my finger and I can't hit it anymore, depending on the exercise and how much resistance is applied against my hands. So just know there are times where the ring might not be the best option. Yes, it is there as a safety measure, but depending on what happens, you could get stuck, and I just don't want that to happen for you. That's why I just recommend everyone have at least one of these assist options on when doing a set. All right, and with that, let's jump over to the actual LCD and onboard computer. So the Speediance Gym Monster does come with its own, again, LCD screen, but it's basically a computer or app that Speediance provides. So you can build everything you want or review anything you want on the Speediance Gym Monster directly, which is different than their other product, the Gym Pal, which you must have an app for. So depending on your preferred option, using the app or the Speediance, you can use either one. Now, when it comes to actually doing the exercises, you have to use the LCD screen or onboard computer from the Speediance Gym Monster. You cannot use the app to actually do the workout itself. It has to be done through the Gym Monster's software itself. So just know that if you are looking to do your workouts. So as an example for me, I actually went and built all of my workouts directly in the Speediance Gym Monster when I initially got it. Yes, I can build them out in the app itself, which is actually easier going back to it. But when I initially got it, I actually built all of those programs right into the app myself. That way it was just ready to go. But if you did actually use the app version, it will sync over once Wi-Fi connects the next time to have all of your programs in there as well. And it's not just programs and things of that nature you can look up. You can also see all of your stats. You can update personal information. You can check the system settings, system versions, so much stuff. Pretty much anything that's in the app on your phone is on the device itself. So it really depends what is in front of you and what is the easiest for you to just use in order to keep going. And again, this is a touch screen LCD screen. So you can just touch on the screen itself to do whatever you need. All right, now before we get into the pros and cons list that I have for the Speediance Gym Monster, I wanted to go over one thing that's really cool that Speediance has done. Since I've had this for over a year, they have kept the membership free the entire time for if you buy the product. So basically, if you buy it right now, you get a free lifetime membership. From what I've seen with other products like Tonal and some other ones that have recently come out, this is just unheard of. All those products have some kind of monthly plan that you have to get, but Speediance is just is really competing with them at a high level and making sure that those are free for anyone kind of backing them in the early stages of their device. So I think that's really, really cool. And one of the major draws as to why I promote this product. And I think the rest of it's great, but this one thing really stands out to me that's really awesome, that there's not some mandatory membership program, as I really hate paying for stuff like that over time. And if there was one, I probably actually wouldn't use it and probably wouldn't recommend it, even if it was really cheap. So really cool that Speediance is doing this. I hope they continue in the future, but do know this could change in time as well. But right now, a year later, they still have that free lifetime membership option. So with that, let's jump into my pros and cons list of the Speediance Gym Monster. First off, it is a freestanding device that is really well built and way sturdier than I thought it was going to be. When I look at things like Tonal, where you have to, again, put it up into the wall, even get contractors to do it for you, or you just have maybe the base platform like the Gym Pal, which is a great device, but it's just not something like this. This really has everything that you need. It has a vertical option for doing your pull downs, and you can do everything from the floor like you could with all those other products. So this is really, really awesome. It's kind of like combining the Vitruvian V-form I had before and a Tonal that's on the wall and putting them all in one, but on a device that you can move around and doesn't take up much space. So that is why I am really drawn to the Speediance and why I think it does have the best overall build for a minimalist home gym. My next pro with that is that you can do pull downs. So because you have the vertical bars, you can do things like pull downs. Another exercise option is that you can do seated rows, which is great with this device. So I usually set it to the L6 and R6 settings with the cables, and I sit there and on the bench, I'll do some seated rows. So this is, again, exercises you can't really do on those other devices very well. Yes, I could do something like bent over rows if I wanted with just a floor device, but again, it's just one of those things that's really awesome with having that vertical bar option. So that's why, again, I really like this design, and it allows me to do other exercises I wouldn't be able to do with other machines. So the next one is going to be a pro for me, but it's going to be a con for a lot of other people, and that is that this produces 221 pounds of resistance. The big thing you have to realize with this is that the tension provided by the 220 pounds feels a lot harder than 220 pounds with free weights. So again, I covered this a little earlier, but the ability with free weights to add momentum. So once you kind of get it moving really fast, the barbell or the free weights will carry through space a bit through momentum, reducing the tension on the muscle while it's being carried. Yes, there's still weight, of course, going against your muscles, but it's not the full amount of force that would be applied if you did it like a slower rep or something like that. However, with the Speediance Gym Monster, because of how the machine is pulling down the resistance the entire time and adjusting based on how fast you're going for that resistance, it can actually make it harder the entire time. So I burn out much faster. I'm someone who can bench over 225 pounds. At this thing, at 180 pounds, I'm struggling. So I think I can max out like 200 on this, where I can do over 225 pounds on a normal bench. So that is pretty awesome for me to see. There are exercises though that I can max the weight on this pretty easily. So squatting is one that's in there, as well as deadlifts. I can max this machine pretty easily. So that's one drawback I'll get to in a little bit in the cons. But do know, for the average person, someone just looking to stay in good shape and build some muscle, 220 pounds is going to be enough for you. Next pro is that the cable setup is really, really easy and really, really well thought out. Moving the cables from the base platform to the vertical bars, extremely easy. Setting up the anchor points on the machine itself so that like L9 through L1, different vertical settings, super easy. Clamping them in, super easy. Just so much of this was so well thought out and just made it very, very simple and very, very fast to change where you are anchoring the cables when using the Speediance Gym Monster. My next pro is that the assists are great. Yes, they did change the name from Spotter, which I think was a better name, to Assist, but this is a game changer software piece that I think should be in every device if it's not already. This has saved me in some cases in the past where, again, the ring just like didn't activate correctly or something like that, or the Bluetooth gave out when I was testing it. And it reduced the resistance for me so that I was able to get out of the exercise just fine. So again, I highly recommend that everyone have this on when working out. Can make going to failure a little awkward sometimes, and sometimes activates a little too early, but I think the assist mode overall is a great, great option to have in your home workouts when using something like this. The next pro is going to be the ring. And this is, again, is a newer addition throughout the year that I had it, because when I first got the Speediance Gym Monster, it actually came with its own separate kind of accessory to the device. So like on the barbell before, it had a clamp piece that was Bluetooth that you'd use to activate and deactivate it. But it's actually pretty hard to use that thing, especially when you had a resistance against it. It was really hard to press the buttons or press the right one since it had multiple buttons. The ring idea is pretty awesome. It does take a little bit to get used to and feels a little weird. You have to make sure it's positioned correctly on your fingers, but I've done it enough times to where it's just kind of second nature now in me using it. So I've really enjoyed the ring, and I really have liked to use it in each one of my workouts. And I think it's something that I think other products might have to look into as well. The big draw to this too is that for something like a squat, you can set up in the squat and then activate it from your ring itself versus having to press the screen or say any verbal commands. You can just double tap it with my thumb to my finger, and I'm ready to do the exercise. Moving on, my next pro is that you can use both the app or the LCD screen with onboard computer to build out and review any of your programs. Now, in the year I have had the Speediance Gym Monster, there has been a lot of software updates and a crazy amount of programs added. Now, I don't personally actually run any of the programs. I look through them every once in a while, but I have my own custom programs I put into the device that I run each and every week. But you could easily, as a beginner, just go in, find your program, and then go from there. There are more advanced ones as well if you're someone who works out more. But if you're just looking to find something really easy and then even follow a program or just a single workout or even just a single exercise, you can just look it up and get ready to go and hit that target muscle you're trying to do to complete your home workout. And my last pro is that I highly recommend that you have the barbell hooks. Now again, I have that separate piece or power rack on mine where I have additional hooks so I don't really need the barbell hooks anymore. But if you do not have that, do what I did before I got the power rack and use them. They are a game changer when setting up exercises and using it during your workouts. If you don't have it, you have to like put the bar down on the bench and stuff. And it's just more annoying. So I highly recommend that you get those barbell hooks for any exercise where the anchoring is on the bottom platform. So those are all the pros. Let's take a look at my cons list. So first up is some of the safety features. This really hasn't changed in any of my reviews, but it's always a concern for me in that if something goes wrong and like the software gives out, maybe like an update comes out and starts activating on me, that I could just get stuck under the weight and not be able to move. So one thing I have had happen to me in the past is that the ring I'm using, which doesn't happen a lot, but every once in a while this comes up, is that the ring Bluetooth will disconnect from the actual Speediance Gym Monster, meaning that if I don't have the assist mode on, I'm stuck unless I'm just good enough to get out of it. Now, do know if you just drop the bar, there is safety built in to where the machine will just turn off the resistance as it knows the bar is falling through space. So it's pretty quick. I've had it happen before in the past where I accidentally dropped the bar and it instantly turned it off. So that's really cool. But if you're doing something like a bench press, a lot of people will slowly lower to their chest. And if you don't have anything like those safety extenders and the ring's not working for you, you're kind of stuck there unless you can whittle your way out of that one. Depending on the resistance, it could be bad. So luckily, I've never had it where I got stuck completely and I've been able to get out of every situation. But there could be someone out there who wasn't as lucky as I was, and that could be an issue. So again, it's not like this happens a lot. It's just every once in a while, something like that will happen where I get stuck. But again, I always have the assist mode on anyway, so the resistance goes off. So that again is why I recommend it. In my comment section is a lot, and is one that I still feel to this day, and that is the cost. And the cost keeps going up even for the lowest model. I believe when I first looked at this, it was like just over $2,000. Now the model I have standard is about $3,000, but usually they have some kind of deal. Of course, I have the deal of using GamerBody to save $120 off the order, but they usually have some kind of deal on top of that. I believe the one right now when I was looking is like save $600 ordering now or something like that. So they do have a lot of those deals, but do know this is not cheap. This is expensive, so that's why I want to make sure if you're looking into this that you have the funds to actually get it, and that it will do what you want in a minimalist home gym to achieve your goals. So make sure that you do some vetting research, use this as a way to kind of gauge if it's right for you, but do know this is not a cheap item, and I want to make sure that you are aware of that before going into a purchase. The next con is that the width of the vertical bars is locked, so you can't change it, and this is a bit narrow depending on the exercise you were doing. So for me, something like doing cable flies really wide and then in on my body, you pretty much can't do it. You're just locked at the width, so you pretty much always have to do just like a normal kind of press with them. For me, because my wingspan just goes outside the bar width in general. So it's a kind of a smaller con, but it is one if you were someone who likes to do this kind of exercises where you want to do like a fly-based kind of exercise. It's not really a good option for that. It is possible, but it's just not that great. My next con is one that has annoyed me for a long time because this is definitely software and they could implement, and that is when you're using the dumbbell style feature. So basically you're using handles that have the resistance independently from one another, not a bar, but like independent handles. They don't reduce the resistance with the assist at the same rate. So if one arm is stronger than the other, one arm will decrease the load more than the other, but I'd like it if there was a way to just like lock them both to always being the same value. That way I can really just push it until one side fails out, and then they decrease at the same value as well to promote removing any muscle imbalances that way. So it is something I'd like them to add. Right now, again, it is separate, so it will reduce one faster than the other, which is kind of an annoyance, but just know, I hope they're able to update that in time and fix it since it is completely a software-based thing. The next con is regarding the ski courses. Now, I actually reached out to Speediance on this one because in the videos of the actors using the ski function for the device, you can see that they're going up like a mountain on it. Like on the screen, there is definitely like some kind of trail or something they're doing. But when I do it, it just shows them doing the motion. And when I spoke to them, they said that this was not in the current product. I don't know if it was removed or not, but it's not in the actual thing. So I'd really like it if they'd add that in. Getting into the rowing feature, when you row, they actually recently added actual courses you can row in, which is really cool. So I'd like them to kind of gamify this a bit. Maybe do something like what the Renfo bike can do and just have more like, I don't know, like racy kind of things. Just make it a little bit more fun when doing cardio-based activities when you're using the Speediance Gym Monster. And with that, the ski handles and even like the regular handles are slippery if you are working out hard and have sweaty hands. I actually don't really like the handles at all that they provide. I like the bar a lot. The adjustable bar is awesome, but they need some like knurled handles, some tougher built handles versus the like plasticky feeling ones that they give you. Again, they're pretty expensive too to buy separately. They're like almost like $50 or $60 to buy again separately. So these really need to be improved upon, especially for the price you are paying for this. I love the Gym Monster, but the accessories are where I think things could improve. So I hope Speediance is able to improve on the quality of those handles in time, or at least provide a different option. I know in the Facebook page, people have come up with the different ones that they're using, because they do give you the different clamps you can have, or like a different piece of the handle that you can use to then clamp onto the device. So you can use your own handles, and a lot of people recommend different ones And I highly recommend you look into other ones too. I haven't got new ones yet, but I probably will in the future because the handles and the ski ones that they provide are just not very good. Alright, so that's it for the pros and cons list. Quite a lot in this video overall, so I kind of want to give you a pretty in-depth review after 1 year. In short, I love the Speediance Gym Monster, and it is still what I think should be the standard for any company looking to get into the home gym space using a machine like this one. Other ones are more expensive, but have to be like drilled into your wall. Other ones can provide more resistance, but just have other features to it. Maybe they're too expensive or have some crazy membership that I just don't want to deal with. So there's so much good with the Speediance Gym Monster. And I think it is the best on the market as of shooting this video, but I am looking to see what other competitors come out at lower costs that are similar to this and can provide more resistance. I guess that was a con I did miss. There needs to be devices in the future that can do more than 220 pounds. I would love one up to like 300 pounds. I think it would be good for me. I know there's people who probably want more, like the 400 or 500 pounds. I think the Vitruvian goes up to something like 400 pounds, which when I tested in the past was a ton with a device like this. But it'd be really cool to get to a minimum of 300 pounds with something like this, as I think you have a really awesome engineered device on your hands with the Speediance Gym Monster. So again, if you like this review and think this is a good product for you for your home gym, feel free to use code GamerBody at checkout from the Speediance page to save $120 off your order.